You ever watch a storyline unfold in the NFL and feel in your gut that you're not getting the whole picture? That's exactly where I am right now with this entire Sanders situation in Cleveland. On the surface, the official explanation sounds simple enough, just a minor injury during drills, nothing too serious, a little bit of soreness, nothing to worry about. But the more you pull at the threads, the more tangled it gets. And the way this thing is unfolding, it's not just odds. Got all the signs of something bigger, something intentional. And maybe something the Browns would rather the public not dig too deep into. It all started today during early drills. I'm watching from the sideline. Eyes locked in on Sanders, the guy who has been the absolute spark of this preseason, electrifying every snap he's taken. Then, out of nowhere, he slows up. He's not clutching his side, not grimacing in pain, not limping. He just stops. And in a matter of moments, the news filters through. Oblique injury. He's done for the day. No more reps. Completely shut down. And right there, I knew something didn't add up. I've seen injuries. I've seen precautionary holds. But I've also been in this league long enough to spot when a situation doesn't smell right. And this one reeks. Here's what. I've been told by people close to Sanders it's nothing major. I'm talking about basic soreness. No tear, no pull, nothing that would sideline most guys, especially not in the middle of building a hot streak. And here's the kicker. He's played through this exact same thing before, and you would have never even known. In the last game, he was flawless making throws, moving the offense, looking every bit the part of a quarterback ready to take the next step. So if he could play through it before, without issue, why now? Why take him off the field just when? His momentum is peaking and the spotlight is squarely on him. That's when you have to start looking beyond the injury itself. Kevin Stefanski has been saying all the right things publicly. We're developing all the quarterbacks. We're giving everyone a fair shot. Sounds like standard coach talk. But then the depth chart drops, and suddenly we're living in some alternate reality. Sanders, after delivering arguably the single best quarterback performance of the entire preseason, is sitting at fourth on the list. Not second, not even third, fourth. And to make matters worse, he's behind Dillon and Pickett. Both of those guys. They're injured. Let that sink in for a moment. How does that make any sense? The only way it does is if this isn't about talent, performance, or readiness, it's about control. It's about making sure Sanders stays exactly where they want him, no matter what the film shows or what the fans are screaming for. And just when the buzz reaches its loudest, when analysts, reporters, and even national voices like Dan Orlovsky are saying he should be getting first-team reps, the narrative shifts again. Suddenly, it's not even an oblique injury anymore. It's arm soreness. Suddenly, the team is saying, it's nothing that'll keep him out long, that he could be back tomorrow. Really? We're just supposed to take that at face value after everything we've seen? I don't think so. Here's the truth about football. When a player's hot, you ride the wave. You give him the ball, you let him prove himself under the brightest lights, and you see just how far his momentum can carry the team. What's happening? In Cleveland feels like the exact opposite. Feels like someone is putting the brakes on him, slowing him down on purpose. I've seen this tactic before. When a coach doesn't want a player in the spotlight, they don't outright bench him and risk backlash. They point to what he can't do. They nitpick, they bury him on the depth chart. They wrap him in layers of precautionary language that sound reasonable to the casual fan, but behind the scenes, effectively stall his rise. And little by little, the window closes. The best coaches know how to take a player's strengths and build around them. They put that player in a position to succeed, to shine, to prove every doubter wrong. That's not what's happening here with Sanders. Instead, we're watching a situation where momentum has been earned the hard way through performance. Through consistency, through undeniable production and, yet it's being shut down overnight. And when you've been around as long as have you recognized that this doesn't look like caution? It looks like a chess match. The question is, who's making the moves, and what's the real endgame here? Because until they prove otherwise, I'm going to keep asking the same thing: what's really going on in Cleveland? You ever watch something in the NFL unfold and think to yourself, there's no way this is just about football? Like, sure, the official story might be about depth charts, about who's getting reps in practice, about those so-called coaching decisions we all hear about in press conferences. But deep down, you can feel there's something else going on. That's exactly the vibe right now with Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. This doesn't feel like a straightforward competition for a job. This feels like a slow-burning drama where every move has a hidden reason. Every explanation has a second layer, and every time the coaches speak, they somehow leave you with more questions than answers. And the more you look at it, the more it starts to feel like what's happening here is about control, politics, and perception just as much as it's about football ability, maybe even more. Just a few days ago, ESPN's Dan Orlovsky took a flamethrower to this whole situation. He didn't tiptoe around it. He didn't wrap his words in politeness. He said the quiet part out loud. Orlovsky basically told Kevin Stefanski, "You've got to explain yourself. You can't keep a player like Sanders buried on the depth chart without a rock-solid reason." And it wasn't some throwaway comment. He meant it. Told Stefanski in front of the whole football world that if you're going to keep Sanders on the sideline, you'd better have undeniable, cold, hard proof that he can't play. Because if you don't, then all you've got are excuses. And the thing is, there's no proof Sanders can't play. None. If anything, every single bit of evidence we've seen so far suggests the exact opposite. Orlovsky's point was as simple as it was damning. Sanders has already shown he can handle it. His preseason performances weren't lucky breaks or flashes in the pan. This wasn't just a rookie getting hot for a few drives. These were full, composed, professional outings. He read the defense like a veteran, stayed calm in the pocket, delivered the ball on time and in rhythm. He wasn't rattled, he wasn't forcing throws, and he wasn't making the typical rookie mistakes. He looked like a guy who belonged on an NFL field, like someone you'd want to test against tougher competition to see how high his ceiling really is. And Orlovsky put it perfectly. Prove to me you can't do it. So far, he hasn't proven that. But instead of taking that challenge head-on, Stefanski made a move that changed the whole tone of the story. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. To Sanders is hurt. An oblique injury, they said. He won't be playing in the next game, which means no building on the momentum from those preseason flashes. No extra reps against live defenses. No real chance to push for a bigger role. And for a lot of people watching this play out, the timing was just a little too perfect. It felt less like bad luck and more like a conveniently timed explanation. Something tidy enough to shut down the conversation before it could get bigger. And for those who've been tracking this situation closely, it's not the first time. It's felt like the Browns were finding subtle, creative ways to keep Sanders on the sidelines. Fans weren't happy. They had been waiting to see more from Sanders. They'd been talking about it on forums, on Twitter, on sports radio. The excitement was there. People wanted to see what he could do if you gave him more responsibility. Maybe even see him run with some of the first-team offense. Instead, they got an injury report and a press release telling them not to expect much. The frustration was instant. Social media lit up with anger and disbelief. And then something unexpected happened. Some fans started pushing for the Browns to trade him, not because they thought Sanders wasn't good enough, but because they were convinced Cleveland wasn't ever going to give him a fair shot. And that's when the story took a serious turn. According to Mick Wright, Sanders himself has reportedly told people close to him that if the Browns are going to keep treating him like this, he wants out. That's not a casual comment. It's not something you just throw out there without meaning it. That's a player sending a message. If you won't let me compete here, send me somewhere that will. And almost immediately, one team name started circulating: the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams make a lot of sense for a guy like Sanders. Out in LA, there's no suffocating should he start. Drama. Matthew Stafford is the unquestioned starter, at least for now. Sanders could develop in the background, learn from a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and grow at a natural pace without the constant question of when he'll take over. For the Rams, it's smart business. Stafford might have another year or two, maybe less. Having a talented young quarterback in the building gives them options. And for the Browns, on paper, it's easy to spin. You draft him in the 5th, flip him for a 4th, and call it a win in the trade column. But here's the problem. The NFL isn't just numbers and draft picks. Moves like this send messages. Trading Sanders now wouldn't just be a roster decision. It would be a statement to the locker room, to the league, and to the fan base about how Cleveland handles its young talent. And that's risky. Especially with Jimmy Haslam watching closely. The owner sees how much support Sanders has. He knows the buzz this kid has brought to the fan base. And he knows that moving on from him without giving him a real chance could backfire in a big way. This all comes down to a bigger question. What does this organization value more? Controlling the narrative or developing their talent? Because Sanders has done everything you could reasonably ask of a young quarterback. He's shown skill, poise, flashes of leadership. He's given fans a reason to be excited. But instead of building on that, the Browns seem stuck. Trapped between protecting their current hierarchy and unlocking their future. And so here we are. The pressure is building. The trade rumors are swirling. The clock is ticking. Is Sanders really being held back for reasons that have nothing to do with performance? Is this injury just bad timing, or is it a convenient cover story? If they do send him to the Rams, will he finally get the chance to grow into the player we've already seen glimpses of? Or will Cleveland's hesitation turn into one of those what could have been NFL stories we talk about for decades? One thing I know, this isn't over. Not even close. Sanders isn't going to fade quietly into the background, okay? And with every single snap he doesn't take in Cleveland, the questions are only going to get louder.